Imagine you're in Detroit in July 1930. On the city's steam wharf at the foot of Wayne Street, the new sidewheeler city of Detroit 3 groans as it settles deeper in the water. A crowd gathers for her maiden voyage to Cleveland. Steamships like this one and her sister ship City of Cleveland III were the pride of the Detroit and Cleveland Navigation Company, a Great Lakes line that for decades linked Michigan to Ohio and beyond. 63 years of service boast the newspaper headline for the 1931 season. Indeed, since the company's post-Civil War beginnings, generations of Michiganders had relied on the D&C Line. Families boarded for weekend trips to Put-in-Bay Island or long-haul crossings to Buffalo. Railroad offices advertised their trips alongside the ships. By the early 1900s, Detroit and Cleveland ran an impressive fleet of sidewheelers. There was the City of Detroit, 1889, renamed City of Detroit II after 1911, and eventually rebuilt into the excursion boat Goodtime in 1924. Its Lake Erie counterpart was the City of Cleveland, built in 1880, later renamed Alpena and then the state of Ohio, serving until 1929. A second City of Cleveland joined the fleet in 1886, later St. Ignace, and finally Keystone, which was destroyed by fire in 1932. These paddle wheelers were more than ships, they were floating palaces. Their upper decks sparkled with varnished wood and brass. Children leaned over the railing to wave at ferries, while gamblers hid in the smoke-filled saloon. One Detroit passenger remembered hurrying aboard. "We dined in the Grand Salon, danced in the promenade, and by morning, Detroit was far behind us," a testament to the romance of overnight travel. In 1924, D&C launched its largest steamer ever, the Greater Detroit, over 6,000 tons of steel and teak, with Broadway-style neon signs and a beer garden aft. People came to witness the christening and to watch her thunder into the river. For a decade, she was the showpiece of the fleet. But the 1930s brought new challenges. The Great Depression led to a decline in travel, and cars began to dominate Michigan roads. The D&C Line trimmed its schedules. Its proud new ships still sailed the lakes, but by World War II, the business was fading. The excursion steamer Goodtime X-City of Detroit II was retired in 1941, and the city's downtown depots started to empty. After 1945, there was simply less demand for overnight lake service. The City of Cleveland III limped on until 1950, when she was sold for scrap, only to sink in a storm off Pennsylvania on her way to the breakers. The City of Detroit III made her final Detroit run in 1954, and by 1956, her cabins had been torn out, and the paddle wheels were sold for scrap. Imagine a child running alongside the rails as the Detroit III slipped into the Detroit River, the last time a large passenger sidewheeler ever left this dock. By then, the roar of car engines had drowned out the ship's whistle. Today, the D&C Navigation Company lives on in memory. Maritime historians have scoured old company logs and museum archives to piece together its story. We know now that the proud sidewheelers of the D&C were the last of their kind on these waters. And though today's travelers race between Detroit and Cleveland on freeways, the line's century of service is a testament to Michigan's maritime heritage. On Belle Isle, the Dawson Great Lakes Museum keeps a physical memory. The Gothic room from the City of Detroit III, painstakingly reassembled from the dismantled steamer. Every polished panel there whispers, "Welcome aboard." For many Michiganders, those words once meant more than a journey. They meant an adventure. The Detroit and Cleveland Navigation Company was more than a ferry line. It was a symbol of an era when end of the road meant boarding a steamship, not a highway. And though its last ship sailed away over half a century ago, that epical crossing of Great Lakes waters remains etched in Michigan's story, as vivid as a steamer's wake under a summer sun.